Hey y'all, it's Bomber at Bomber's Garage. Welcome to the tour of our garage and shop and all of our tools and stuff that we have and like. Enjoy, y'all. How y'all doing? It's Bomber at Bomber's Garage, and I'm going to do a non-stop, unedited video of a tour. And a tour is Louisiana for a tour of the garage. So I've changed a lot of stuff around, and I know I would continue to move stuff around. Later in April, I'll be bringing Alice up here that's in storage from Nobody Customs. That's my Chop 51 Chevy. She's gonna go in the center. Got a lot of work to do on her. And then also with refurbishing these industrial tools that we've been bringing in and putting them back to use. So I'm gonna kind of tell y'all about everything I have. This, I really like. I picked this up from my buddy Brad Emmons when he was closing his shop. It is a fantastic bolt bin and have all kind of stuff on it. And I'll tell you one thing that's funny is when I had my powder coating business, this was in there, and I left my label maker out, and some of my friends were drinking. We'd have like a once a month shop party and have people bring their cars, motorcycles, come hang out. And I look on there one day and they put, where is it? Beer pong balls, OG Kush, 420, and they put a few other things that I had to pull the labels off. I was like, yeah, we can't have that. Kids might come out. Has the wire dispenser at the bottom where I store carburetors that are dirty. Have tons of stuff in here. Much like living in Louisiana, where we're at now in Michigan, every time I go to like Tractor Supply, Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever the local hardware store, I try to pick up extra stuff. If I need 10 3-inch drywall screws, I'll buy 5 pounds to save me from getting them the next time. And I also want to make clear that Will Jordan calls dibs on this when I die. So this goes to Will. I got you, brother. You get this. So it's fantastic. I love it. It's a really cool place. At one time, I was collecting 350s, 305s, don't judge me, 327s, 283s, all these small block Chevys. And a lot of them I was getting, and I was powder coating intakes, flipping those. That's when I had the powder coating business. And then I acquired all of these valve covers. And those Chevrolet script ones that are orange, the Chevy orange, that was the first thing that I powder coated in my powder coating business. So one day I would like to build like a really sweet little 283 and put it in some sort of Chevy truck or car that's period correct. But that's the first thing that I powder coated, which is pretty cool. When Brad gave me this, he also gave me that snap-on key holder, which I thought was pretty cool because he's got all these phone numbers on it. And then one day I do want to call those numbers and chat with those people and see what they're up to. The Coca-Cola bottle cap sign in Rodessa, Louisiana. My kinfolks are from Northwest Louisiana, so it's like Vivian, Ida, Myra, Line Creek, Rodessa. I was squirrel hunting. There was a place that had a couple of hickory trees, and I'd go squirrel hunt there. Sitting down one day, move around, I'm shooting squirrels with a 22, and I feel like metal. Brush off this metal, and I find these Jack's Beer bottle signs that are absolutely amazing. When we do the tour of my office and media room, I'll show y'all those. Grab those, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. Maybe a month later, back squirrel hunting again, I'm walking and kick that and find it. I would have loved to gone back there with a metal detector at that time and see what else I could find, but I think that's cool. That come from where my mom and her people come from, and that I found it in the woods. The Weatherhead oil filter lines, I picked that from a shop, and then Will, again, had grabbed that. He had it for a couple of years, and when him and his lovely wife come up here to visit, he was like, hey dude, it belongs back in your shop. Brought it to me. I was super stoked about that. I love Crescent wrenches. I call these hammer wrenches. I've used these my whole life, and a lot of people, will talk about Crescent wrenches as far as them like rounding off nuts, rounding off bolts, but this is a universal tool. I call them hammer wrenches. It's in one of our logos that my buddy Eagle created for us. This can be used as a weapon. I use these in the oil field, have a little brass snap. That one actually is in the old heavy hauler where I had it hanging. These things are absolutely amazing. And I found this locally at a sale and I love those. He actually sent me this one. This is a railroad one, which I think is super freaking cool. And I love that there is EG stamped into it. And then we scored that other one at a swap meet up in Midland. This is really cool. So, I'm not gonna use names on this, but I've always carried backpacks forever. So, real quick backpack story. I had a backpack. My dad had a 73 Cadillac. We rolled down to the panhandle of Florida. We're vacationing down there in, I guess, maybe Fort Walton Beach. And we're staying at a motel. We usually stayed at a buddy's house of his down there. That was my dad's buddy from World War II. And I see the cart. It's a Holiday Inn with all the little travel size soaps. And I proceed to empty all, I'm like, cool, soap. Empty them into my backpack. I'm like 7 or 8 years old. So we're driving back. Everyone, my mom's going like, what is that smell? I'm like, I don't know what the smell is. They keep saying, what is the smell? What is the smell? It was all the 40 or 50 bars of Dial soap I dumped into my backpack and put them in there. So I've been huge on backpacks. Some of you know I work for Go Ruck. It's a backpack company. That kind of explains that. This is a fire hydrant tool. I was with one of my friends back in the day. His dad worked at the fire department in Bossier City, and I'm hoping the statute of limitations has run out on this. They were cleaning hoses, surveying hoses, and had a bunch of these. And then I grabbed one of these and threw it in the backpack that I had. Fast forward a couple of weeks later, I get the idea one night to go and open some fire hydrants with this. I have no idea how my dad knew, but he told me, he was like, hey, I don't know who's been opening these fire hydrants, but freaking stop it. So this is cool to me. I acquired this from the Bossier City Fire Department, and no, I'm not giving it back. I like the AC stuff. These vintage cabinets are cool. I've got a lot of vintage spark plugs, vintage fuses. This little AC was a little travel kit that I think is super cool that you would carry in your car with your extra spark plugs. And I've actually got a really cool little Champion matches in there. I need to put that in my house. This one, the Champion, I wanted to get some more vintage stuff. I only have those, but I thought this was cool. So I like these vintage cabinets, but these have gotten ridiculous expensive due to shows like American Pickers and everything else. So this tin is super cool. It's from the Checker Oil and Mop Steel Materials Company in Detroit, Michigan. And I like the checkerboard on it. So this has Ballistol soaked in it. So I wish y'all could smell. The guys that know about Ballistol, I know you can smell this right now, but this, I keep this drenched in this. And when I use some of my tools that are like carbon steel or stuff that rust easy, I wipe it down with that stuff. And this stuff smells so good. Another thing is my Neverdall I keep up here, which I used when I was a young Marine. Back then we still polished brass, polished everything. And so I just polished our spittoon. You'll see in a couple of minutes. Neverdall, look, Brasso's cool. Not hating on Brasso, but this wadding polish, it's just super cool. Another smell, there's 4 smells that I remember from the Marine Corps. Neverdall, CLP for your M16, Dial soap, and then jalapeno cheese. Oh, another one, Wind and Sea, the cologne. This is a Champion spark plugs cleaner. I've never tried this. I do have a compressor, but this has a little bag in it, a little sand reservoir. You will take the spark plug, stick it in here, Put this on there, add the air, and it sandblasts the bottom of the spark plug and gets it all clean. I think this is super cool. There's a wall mount one, and I've been eyeing one of those, but they are stupid expensive. This one's missing a few things, but it's super cool. This is a boot scraper that my uncle made for my papaw. This was mounted on a piece of wood. The wood rotted, but it was where out of these horseshoes, you would come in with the galvanized strips, scrape the mud off your boots before you came in. Which was funny, because when you did that, my mama would only let you walk into the little porch area, so you had to de-mud before you come in there. This I picked up at Bay City. This has most of the stuff in it that I use quite a bit, and that's kind of changing as well. This pipe wrench holder, which I love pipe wrenches too, is another thing that I had from the Marine Corps, the oil field. And we're not editing this, we're going raw dog with this. Shall think? Lindsay picked that up for me, and I really love it. And I especially love this curved rigid. I think that thing is super cool. So have a couple of license plates up here. Some have some toppers, have some Cadillac stuff. Painless Performance. When we did the Twin City Bobber Bash in Louisiana, our good buddy Mike Burke worked for them, and they would always give us a coupon for a free painless wiring kit for the show, which those are pretty freaking expensive, and they're freaking awesome. They also would give us like a 50% coupon. They'd give us stickers, bags, all that good stuff. And I wanted to show them a little love, so I've got that up in the garage. So I'm gonna have you sneak back up over here. When we moved in, it was a rush. It was in April of this year, and which is kind of funky weather. And we had a short window because we had a renter for the old place, so we really had to hustle to get in here. I wanted to paint this, and the other night, moving some stuff and cleaning it, I had like some industrial gray enamel and had some white. So what we're in, that's why it's very sporadic. But what I want to do is a 4-foot wainscot of the industrial gray and the white up there, and do the ceiling white. And that's something we're going to do like a section at a time and pull stuff off the walls as we're moving it. A lot of the stuff that was over here, you'll see some of the time lapse that I did. This was over here, and I've shifted it this way because we've got some other plans for stuff like that in the future. This ball door grinder, I've got it sitting on the floor over there. I repainted this. The top part I'm leaving alone. I've ordered some 7-inch discs for it. Sorry y'all, it's cold here and we got the heat on, so you're gonna have a little bit of background noise. I love these pedestal grinders. That's cast steel. It is so cool. When I got it, the red on it was a little bit faded, so I made it as faded as I could, and that's gonna be awesome. This is a vintage Coca-Cola bottle cap dispenser, and a buddy of mine, he gave this to me, and it means a lot to me. My buddy Jay gave me this hat when he come to visit. He works for Delta Supply, and that's in Louisiana. He does like high temp controls, which is pretty cool. This is a Knife and Flag, is the brand of this apron. And you can see I was really messy with the green, but there are a lot of times I come out here wearing something, don't want to get it dirty. I throw that on. I know y'all seen it in a couple of videos, and it's really cool. That is an old school pallet mover, which I use every once in a while. I don't have a pallet jack, and I'll get into a little bit later about our list of like heavy equipment that we're wanting to pick up. This I'm super stoked about. This is a dual band filer. Our buddy here, Papa Dragon, he owns a shop, and he does all kind of vehicles, but he specializes in BMWs and he does LS conversions, sells kits to do that. I'll put a link to his business in the comments. He does a fantastic job. But if you'll come over here and look at this. So a lot of people know Dual makes band saws that are freaking awesome. So this design is great. This one's going to get totally refurbished. So this is a die filer, and you can see here are the files And along the belt, here's all the individual sections of the files. And then when they come around here, they get back straight. And this is great for cutting keyways, maybe making brass knuckles, stuff like that. But I'm super to pick this up for $100 in Western Michigan. Took all day. I'm super glad that he told me about it. And I love that everything's intact. This light is just so cool. Has all the tags on it. This one come from Orangeville Data and Telecommunications, and that was in Delton, Michigan. And if you look over here, it just still has the Cutler hammer, buttons, like everything is on it. And when this one gets restored, it's gonna get a full restore. So what I like about stuff like this is some of the stuff I'll leave if it's really cool patina. This one, almost all the paint is just flaking off. So it's gonna go back to Vista Green, and I'm actually gonna spray paint these same numbers on it. We're gonna take a surface grinder and get this all back serviceable again. It's not really pitted, but it does need that. And then underneath here, the cast steel has a couple of cracks in it. So I've got a welder buddy that'll be able to fix those things for me. Welding cast steel is it's hard to do. So this one's gonna get a full restore. So my buddy Scratch we talked about painting stuff, and he's like, if it needs to be painted, paint it. If it doesn't, don't. This one, in the shape it in, it needs to be brought back to its former glory. And I feel very blessed that we picked this up for $100. This Rockwell milling machine. I love this thing so freaking much. I love the Rockwell stuff. It's super cool. So my dad back in the day, a lot of his hand tools were Milwaukee, and that's when Rockwell, Milwaukee, and Delta were kind of in, industrial hand tools. So we would call the old, we'd call it old Milwaukee. The old sawzalls that were like metal and then had the rubber on. They're super cool. I love this piece, and I've still got some more grease to get off of it. But it's fantastic. It has the table on it. You can either move manually, or it also has variable speed table feet on it, which is just fantastic. That pipe clamp deal is another thing I picked up on Marketplace for like $3. And they had a picture of one that was new, and I got over there and that thing was in about 6 pieces. So that's why it looks like it does. This I'm gonna take, my throat's a little dry, so I'm gonna have a drink of this cherry flavored old fashioned. So this area of Michigan we're in is predominantly General Motors. Closer you get to Detroit, it becomes more Ford predominant. So a lot of these tables came from General Motors. I picked up a couple of these, some that I've sold. This one, another one that I kept. This one comes from the local General Motors plant. I love these tables. It's steel underneath. Normally, they have a piece that comes up here in the top shelf like the other one. This one was removed. But I liked this one because it gives me a view out the window. I can look out there. And I just love that they added the plugs on it. It's just has the rollers, the cast steel rollers. It's super heavy duty. And the vibe I wanted for my shop is like vintage equipment. And man, not knocking folks who get Harbor Freight or newer stuff and everything. I think that stuff is awesome. But the vibe I wanted to provide was older machinery that's refurbished, made in the USA, and I think that's cool. I haven't mounted this yet. This is my dad's Wilton Cadet that I painted and cleaned up. So it's gonna get mounted right here. I really like that vise, it means a lot to me. On that pedestal grinder, here are some of the other parts. That's the little catch for it and brackets. And then I'll show you the grinder in a little bit. Oh, real quick, here's what I usually film with. Lindsay's filming me tonight. She's gracious to do that. It's a little Shure mic, this one, and this one. And that's basically, excuse me, what I use. And then I also use, I love Apple boxes, and those folks that film know about their wooden boxes to put your camera and props and stuff on. I use a ton. Never throw these pieces of wood away. I use this one a lot as an Apple box. This area here is where I do a lot of like the Sunday talks and work on stuff, and it's my main workstation. It stays the cleanest, and it also stays the most unorganized as well. These two lamps I love. I picked these up at a store in Fenton that was closing. Also picked up a hood, and I just like how these look. They have the extra plugs on them. Really brightens up the work area, and I like those. I think that they were a good, good steal. Not a good steal, a good find. Miscellaneous stuff here. I want to show all this. This is the Texas blended whiskey. Now I put my cigar wrappers in. This place is in Fort Worth. They're next to a boot factory. So they get the cutoffs of the boots, and then they put them on the caps of these. So you never know what kind of color, what kind of texture of the leather you're going to get on there. And if you're starting into bourbon or whiskey, this TX is a good one. And they're getting where they're selling it in more places, which is cool. Down here, a collection of a lot of my toolboxes. Oh, and I'll throw those spittoon. I cleaned it up the other day. It's going to be functional. I'm trying to quit every once in a while. I do dip the O hawking when I'm out here. Trying to quit the tobacco products, but it is what it is. A couple of boxes down here, a couple of Craftsman ones. Got two. These two are Kennedys. I got this one from Lindsay for Christmas, this red and gray one, 3-drawer, which I absolutely am in love with this. Those are going to be in future videos of what I'm rigging them out to do. A couple other just miscellaneous stuff. Those are the side covers down there for the grinder. Picked this up. I had a large drill press over there, but for what I was going to use it for, I can actually use the milling machine. I picked this Rockwell up for $50. And again, using the Rockwell stuff reminds me of my dad. I just think these are awesome ones. Cleaned this up, oiled it down. It's a super, super cool machine. It fits more. I'm not going to be doing a lot of larger stuff. If I do, I'll drill it by hand. But for the stuff that I'm doing, this is fantastic. These Remington ones, little cabinet system, I think are freaking awesome. These two I had back in Louisiana. These I've picked up since I've been to Michigan. I keep Ziploc bags, different stuff, sizes of Ziploc bags. I go through a lot of Ziploc bags in these. And then I have a huge amount of koozies for when people come out to have a cold one. This cold steel one I like. I've got like blades in here. And again, I'm still kind of stocking up with stuff. The rest of it is more sandpaper and sanding oriented, cabinets. This wooden one, it almost looks like a military one that I kind of saw when I was in the Marine Corps early on that was getting replaced. It's a mix of galvanized and wood, which is, pretty freaking cool. And all of these function so great. So I have a lot of my 1/4-inch drive stuff, which I really like. That stuff, that'll be a different video one day. Boot shining gear. Up here is like paint mixers, the painting stuff, the chip brushes, extra gloves, and then some more car parts and stuff like that down here. Over here with this one is all wood. I've got like my sanding stuff here, and then the rest, zip ties. A lot of these are fittings like old, some of them are old NOS fittings for nitrous oxide. And then wire brush polishing. This is extra drill bits, and I know they shouldn't be in a wooden box, but these reamers and bits and stuff needed to go in there. I'm going to wipe them down and oil them and get them back serviceable. But I've just kind of got overflow stuff in those. This jet is a newer one, and there's a couple of industrial ones I've had. This works so freaking fantastic for wood, and I'll be putting it to use for some future projects that is super cool. But man, I love this thing so much with the belt and also the disc over there, and it sands like a beast. You can get in trouble with it in a freaking heartbeat. This door, buddy Gary McDowell gave it to me. I started deciding I want to collect magnets for places that I have visited. So I've thrown, there's one up there from like American Pickers, the Gilmore Car Museum. My buddy Eagle used to have that vintage fuel apparel, a couple of Harley shops and stuff, but that will be like the magnet door, which I think is pretty cool. Our buddy Bug, who owns Stilson Sign and Custom, he made us a couple of these, which you'll see around the shop, that we use at the Bomber Bash to point which way they are, and those things look fantastic. I actually got the 3 pieces of wood for those out of a dumpster, which I thought was cool. This toolbox, actually, I think was my first toolbox I ever got. So I'm doing a thing talking about Sears back in the day, where they had used to, when, you know, Sears and Roebuck had the huge tool section. They had tool catalogs that you would get for Christmas and throughout the year, and I loved looking at those. And went with my dad to pick that up and have like a lot of my original Craftsman tools, which I think are just absolutely amazing. This one got a little beat up over the years. We'll eventually do a video where I clean this up, and I'm gonna put some of my vintage Craftsman stuff that I got around that same era. This one I picked up at Barstow Air Force Base at a auction there. And I mean, it's super, I don't even know what brand it is. It's some no-name military one, but I've got a lot of my dad's older stuff, some of his plumb bobs, the Lufkin tape measures. Most of this stuff that's in here is all stuff that was my dad's, so I kind of keep it separated from everything else. Have added a few things in there. These Stanley number 199s are so, not to be confused with the newer ones that you can't polish, but these are absolutely the coolest with a fleur-de-lis. There's no retractor, so you're just running, you know, stranger danger with these. They're freaking cool. I've got shears. These, I know a lot of people don't use them, but there is such a great use for these. These are great when I do marketplace stuff that I need to show the size instead of locking the other tape, laying it down. I think these folding and retractable ones are just amazing. So I have a little issue. I used to have a lot more, but they're MIA. These little tiny screwdrivers that are advertising ones. I eventually want to get some for Bomber's Garage that I'll kind of sell and, you know, give away. These are cool. And then I love this one. This one comes with my steel chainsaw. I'll show them a little bit. These shears, they're drop forged. They're the old school Weiss, W-I-S-S, however you want to say it. Whatever I say it, I'm going to say Wiss because it sounds cool. But it's probably Weiss. I love these shears. I've cut tons of sheet metal, tons of roofing with them, and they're absolutely amazing. This is another one that I picked up with my dad, this angle finder. So we built a gazebo, and I use this quite a bit on that. There's some of this stuff that looks like I take care of stuff as much as I can. So some of it looks almost like new old stock. This one was picked up at a pawn shop. I have a lot of vintage wrenches in here. Still a lot of carpentry stuff that I'll use. Tons of Allen wrenches. These are all ratchets. I have a mixture of stuff in there. And I'll show you, like, where is it at? This is kind of the Craftsman wrench that I grew up with. Of these that I had the most of. And the one that's like this with a little, you know, you turn it there. And some of these, I can tell the ones that are the older ones because I actually inscribe my last name in those. But that's what, to me, is a cool freaking ratchet. That's what I'm used to. This is cool. I was with my cousin Bank and bought all these at Max's Pawn Shop in Louisiana, in Shreveport. I don't even know if there's still a Max's around. These are gonna get, I gotta get the rust off at the end. But that one's super old, and this one I picked up in the toolbox not long ago. Open end, box end wrenches, and a lot of punches and chisels here. More sockets. Miscellaneous stuff. If you don't have a pair of these, you need to get some, these end nips. These are weapons of mass destruction. I mean, these are so, you can pull out a 16-penny nail. These are badass. When I was a carpenter, I never went any place without these. These are awesome. And if you have a farm, you need one of these weapons. This is like, you know, for barbed wire, stuff like that. It's pretty freaking cool. Here, just miscellaneous stuff. And then down here, now a few nail guns and a sander. This is pretty freaking cool. This is a homemade toolbox. Not homemade, but someone actually welded together. It's got a lot of my vintage Craftsman screwdrivers in there and some newer ones. But I want to show y'all real quick something that's really cool. I'll bring it to you. This letterhead was in there, which is Chevrolet, Pontiac, and GM, and the Cannon Group, which is from the Bay City plant. So when I picked that up at a garage sale, and it's obvious that this was very tool specific, and that there was a bottom and a top with how this was made, but that's all that they had. This was in it, and I thought that letterhead was super cool to have. So I like to picture that there is a dude in some overalls, and he was smoking a filterless Pall Mall, and he welded that up at work, and that was his workstation. And when he retired, left, or whatever, he took that with him, and I'm stoked that I ended up with it. This has a lot of miscellaneous stuff. When I was a barber, I actually used this one at the barber shop, so there are tons of brushes and all kind of stuff in there, and some of my other barber stuff in there. But I did empty this one. This is all an estate sale find. All the stuff came from an estate sale. The dude worked for General Motors, and in his basement, he had some of the coolest Rockwell and Delta woodworking tools I've ever seen. But it was all like for real industrial stuff, and it was like he built his house around it. So I've got a lot of vintage files, chucks, drills, tons and tons of drills in there. And then the rest of the stuff is more my barber stuff. So down here, this is the grinder that goes to that pedestal. I'm not repainting it like I did the pedestal. I'm leaving it like this. I've got the discs on order. That's going to be another video. This is a French lig vise that I got from my buddy Scout down in Austin, Texas. A couple of other vices that are cool. I love the vintage vices that are eventually going to go up when I get some more mobile stuff. A few of these hand saws, I've got them on the other side, are like my dad's and my papa's. The rest of them that I picked up, shears, stuff like that. Those cans I picked up here. I love that one can because it's like snowmobile. It's like gas for snowmobiles, and has the little Eskimo dude on it. And I just thought that was super cool because where I'm from, Louisiana, we don't have those. During one of the hurricanes when I lived in Jack's Beach, this ended up in my yard, and I never saw it any place, or not my yard, my driveway. So I picked this up and took it with me. It's kind of a remembrance of Jack's Beach. Picked this cabinet up here, and it's become more of my electrical one. So lots of wiring. It's both automotive and household stuff. If you haul old crap and haul trailers a lot, I recommend getting a set of these magnetic lights. They're a great backup for if you ever have a trailer or hauling something or towing something that doesn't have lights, to throw those on there. And they work great. But yeah, that's my backup electrical stuff. I didn't take this off. This is pretty cool. So that's my Allen engine analyzer. I keep it covered just because I don't want it to get dusty. This came from Michigan, I think Kalamazoo. I'll have to look back, but I cleaned this, degreased it. It is so freaking cool. And I want to show y'all, there's two things in here, or one thing that I think is super amazing. This is a seat belt tester. And if you pull this out, now let's look. Seatbelt interlock system analyzer. All of this stuff in here was Mopar. But this came from the space division of Chrysler Motor Corporation. And you can tell this stuff's so analog. I mean, it's super old. My buddy Stoney at Stoney Oddball, he actually found an instruction manual for this. This has all the paperwork on it. And everything in here is, Mopar related stuff. I did another video. I can drop the link for that. And here it's the auto tip tester. Came with all the books, everything. So got this from a guy. He had passed away, and his wife was wanting to sell some of the stuff, and her husband's best friend come and met me, and I picked this up. I think I paid $200 for it. It's all tube stuff. I'm not sure it's ever going to work. It cleaned up fairly nice. I still have some more detail to do on it, but I at least want to get it where I could plug it in and it lights up. But I had no idea that Chrysler had a space division. They had put in bids to do a space shuttle, and they didn't do that. But I think that's a cool piece of history. Looks great in here. That is from the Lone Star Roundup. That's the first one that they had, or Lonely Star Roundup, excuse me, that Jesse James put that show on when the Lone Star Roundup was canceled due to COVID. And he was like, hey man, we're still doing it. So I actually got Jesse to sign that for me. And then, I have a weird sense of humor. I've actually been blocked by Jesse James for a comment that I made that was in jest. So if anyone knows Jesse unblocked me, dude. I was just, screwing around. That's Alice. When we first did the chop and she was still in the blue, I shot that blue with Alkyd enamel. The primer and stuff Joel did, and then that's our friend Whit with a acetylene bottle bomb that we made for the bash. This stoplight, during COVID, I was doing a lot of rucking in Jack's Beach when I worked for Go Ruck. Every lunch, I would do a couple of miles, come back, get back to work. I'm working remotely. No one knows what's going on. There's some people there that were moving, and they were getting rid of that. And I'm like 4 miles from the house. And I grabbed that and toted it on my back all the way back to my condo in Jack's Beach, which was like 3.5 miles. And man, that's not that heavy, but it is bulky and freaking sucks to freaking carry. So these are a couple of different oil cans. I think the only thing that I've actually bought are the 2 Texaco ones. Everything else friends have given to me. My buddy Eagle gave me the Harley one that's like new old stock. It still has oil in it. The Demolition Derby for Bay City, that's like last year, but it looks very retro, like late 60s, early 70s. I found that it was blowing in a parking lot, and I picked it up, and I was like, I'm gonna frame this. This looks cool. The Capper's Farmer insurance, that farm, all the properties marked, that actually come from my stepdad's property. He had that in the barn, and he gave that to me years ago. And then the Bomber Bash sign, our buddy Bug at Still Some Customs, I'll put a link to him. He's a super freaking talented guy. He painted that for the first Tri-City Bomber Bash that was here this year. Lindsay wanted me to feel like home. These cats hand carved these, and that was the first Louisiana one, and that's based off like the one from the 40s. Where the pelican, she's feeding blood to the young little pelicans from her breast, which shows in Louisiana how that's, I mean, what we do. That's from the Bomber Bash number 7. Thought that was super cool. It has 2 pinups in it, and it has Alice down at the bottom. And we'll do a full video on Alice. Alice is my 51 Chevy that like Joel, Will, Rusty, my buddy Alan, tons of people worked on. It's a chopped 4-door 51 Chevy with 55 Cadillac tail fins, 55 Cadillac front ends. It's bagged, lowered, chopped. I mean, it's a super cool car. We're getting it up here next year. The 2 Gulf signs, a buddy of mine who's a different Alan in Shreveport, he bought a property that was it used to be a Gulf warehouse for oil. And those actually are new old stock. On the back, they have the tabs. So those went in Gulf tires, and you would bend the little tabs out and, you know, had those as displays or for the price and everything. This is another cabinet I picked up here. This is kind of like, I've got lighter stuff in it. I've got some vintage automotive testers in here that these are from like the 70s and 80s. I just think those are really cool. My battery tester. And then I've got extra filters for the Ram Charger, heavy hauler, and for the Kabota, which I'll see in a minute. But this is gonna kind of be extra automotive stuff, more filters, air filters, stuff like that for stuff that we have for the 68 and for Charlotte our C10, Lindsay C10, and for the Ram Charger. And then the Marine Corps, of course. Picked up this table saw, super cheap, for 25 bucks. It's an old Craftsman one. It is kind of rough, but for what I do, it's fantastic, works great. And then I found this on the side of the road, and it matched perfectly with the old Bomber Bash sign that Bug did. So this 30s Ford grill, the Gulf sign, and this, we all got from Matt at Iron Trap. Lindsay hit up Matt about that Gulf sign the first time she saw it, and she's like, hey, if you ever sell it, I want that. Pick these all up we'll pick this up in Pennsylvania. This Matt shipped to us, and then this we picked up the Gilmore Museum, which is in Western Michigan. Where if y'all ever want to see a cool museum, that place is freaking awesome. So we just saw a video this morning of Matt at Iron Trap working on the Schroll, the old Schroll Ford, and this was in the background. So I'm super stoked. I got a little bit of Iron Trap garage in our garage. We're super blessed with that, and it lights up great. It's fantastic. And then this mobile, I did another video of that. I buffed this thing out. It had, you know, was just super, it just needed a lot of buffing. That helped. Down here, so my dad always used worm drive saws. This one is mine, and that's from the 80s or so. I had another one before that, missing in action. These are heavy. This is a new one while we were building the chicken coop. My old girl finally died on me. The engine just smoked out on me one day, and she has been an old workhorse, so we're keeping her. And then the new one is titanium, or magnesium, excuse me. I'm gonna do a video on both of these so far, but I have been totally satisfied with this one because I was like, oh, it's not going to compete with this one. That thing is a workhorse. This is another cabinet I got from a guy that come from a General Motors plant. This has that top part like the other one did on it, and then he added this wood on it, and then this one has a drawer, which I haven't looked to see if that one's going to have a drawer. It has removable stuff. So I keep some of the paperwork, like for the Victor and stuff like that in here. That's all paperwork for equipment in the shop. Then, the other day, on Sunday I did a video, while I'm charging stuff, this red industrial explosion-proof light is on. So when I shut the lights on at night, I can look over here, and if I see that, I can come turn that off. Now I feel this Milwaukee stuff is super, super safe, but you do hear occasionally of people losing their shops or the garage because they left the chargers on and then something happened. So turn out the lights, look over here, I see that red. I can come over here and then turn off the charging station right here. Now, I used to use Hitachi, which I thought were just bulletproof, all our cordless stuff. I think it's amazing. Mine finally died. There's like the largest Milwaukee store in Michigan is a couple of miles from us. Went there and I've started buying the Milwaukee stuff, the impacts, the blower, everything. I can't say enough about this Milwaukee brand. I like it. And I've had like a ton of pneumatic tools, had a ton of electric tools, but just being cordless is so much better. You're not tripping over those. And so there's a ton of stuff on my list I want to get. But yeah, I love that. Got some more drawers down here that are Remington ones. Don't know what I'm going to do with those. I used them at the old shop, but they're going to go someplace. I just hadn't figured out where. And then there's an old Craftsman carpenter's box that is full of old tools that we're going to do a video. Now this I think is super cool. Lindsay sent this to me. It's an old hot point and it was free. And the guy's like, you got to come and get it out of the basement. Well, man, I did not know how heavy these are. And I've not plugged this thing in. He said it was working. But these are they're works of art. So this is where the ice cubes are. It came with 4 of the Hot Point ice cube trays. Just the aluminum, how everything fits is perfect. Fresh meats. Everything is totally here. Comes with this extra tray. Fruits, vegetables, the butter tray. It could use some love on the seal. But I mean, it's just, the handle, everything is perfect. And I'll show you that in a minute. The handles on the 63 Dodge work great, but it's a beautiful piece. Picked this up the other day, this bolt bin, and was actually gonna sell it, and then realized I had so many buckets full of stuff, and I'm still filling it and still working on it. And again, if I need 1 box of staples, I buy 3. I buy extra ones because living out so far and having to drive, a long way to go get extra parts just freaking sucks. Now this I want to show you. I picked this up at a garage that was closing, and then I've got a couple of these. I love these pipe vices. This one is probably the one I'm keeping. All the other ones are listed. But I scored tons of drill bits. And then I go through drill bits a lot. And I don't know if y'all price drill bits, this is a crap ton of money in drill bits. I'm super stoked. I got all those drill bits for free and paid like $5 for this. This is an old Montgomery Ward's little cabinet that I'm gonna put some little tiny stuff in. I haven't decided what yet, but I'm stoked about that. This is our Stihl Farm Bobs. Now before I've used Poulan, Poland. They're made in Shreveport. A buddy of mine that was a logger, I know there's Team Husqvarna and there's Team Stihl. He loves the Stihl and he's logged more than anyone else that I know, pulpwood, hardwood, stuff like that in Louisiana. And he said, hey man, you can't go wrong with that. So we got the Farm Boss, I like that. Got the old Napa Know-How. I picked this up for $30 at an antique store in Jack's Beach. And my buddy Eagle was telling me these things are like $200 if you buy them from Napa Fruit Store. So, got to show another little love for the Marine Corps. This was a train sign over here from where I lived in Doyleen. They had a tornado come through there. I have no idea where this was, but it was laying in the ditch. So I picked that up. This is my road workout, the garage workout, the 4-footer. I'm having to get a 2x12 to go across there to bolt that and then anchor it to the store, and then we're going to be working on all this goodness I've acquired. Now I'm going to get her to follow me around this way. We doing good on battery? So you'll see my anvil over there. My buddy Paul Horn worked at McLaren Rocks, which is like an old school industrial machinery place in Shreveport. There's a guy there that worked for Kansas City Southern, and I told him, I'm like, dude, I need like a foot of railroad, what do you call it? Railroad rail. And he cut this perfect for me. I picked these blocks of wood up at a place in Michigan. So I'm gonna band these with steel, cut a notch in those and put that, and I use this to bend stuff, beat stuff, form sheet metal. Railroad iron is fantastic for that. I got another chunk of that over there that I'm gonna get. This, my rounding hammer with a dead skull on it. I love this thing and use it so freaking much. So anyway, this is coming up on a video pretty soon about that. These sawhorses are sawhorses that my dad built probably 82, 83, somewhere in there. So I'm very careful with these. I'll use these fold-up ones more than I do these because I don't really want to mess these up. I mean, I don't mind using them, getting paint on them, whatever, but it just means a lot to me that these were my dad's. So this is a Craftsman 150 drill. I picked this up super cheap. Right now, everything's soaking in WD-40. I'm gonna refurbish this one. This is another one that needs paint. It's getting totally taken apart, painted, clean, shined up, redone, and this one's going to be for sale. And it's going to make someone a really nice drill press for their shop that appreciates the vintage stuff. All right, real quick. I think I'm doing good. Pick this stool up, which is my favorite stool. And if you'll look here, United States Post Office Department. And this come from the Post Office Department, Johnny Satcham Company in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But this is tagged from a post office, and it's freaking cool and comfortable. And I like it. This is our 1991 Kabota B7100 HST four-wheel drive. Picked this up when we knew we were going to buy the farm. Has a aftermarket SMC front bucket on it, and then a belly mower that is actually a Kabota one. This thing's been in here. All the fluids are great. No hose leaks. No hydraulic fluid. No oil. No fuel leaks. Fires up fantastic. Smokes fantastic like a diesel. This thing is absolutely amazing. What I'm working on now is the bolts were sheared for the undercarriage going into the block, and that's cast steel. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been putting it off. Drilling into cast steel sucks, and I'm having to tap and die those. There's 6 total bolts. I've got 4 of them done and 2 more to go, and it freaking sucks, man. So I know this has been set in a long time in the videos. I talk about it a lot. And I talk about it a lot as far as, like, I need to get off my butt and make this thing work. But these Kubotas are freaking, they're amazing machines. And y'all know, I'm all about American stuff, but holy crap, this is great. So, I'm trying to get in the habit of saying that. This engine hoist, I was bringing a ton of stuff back from Louisiana up here. And I told Lindsay one day, I'm like, hey man, we need to get an engine hoist. So she's like, what's the engine hoist? So we picked this one up, I think at O'Reilly's, maybe? Yeah. So she's like, are you ever gonna use that? We use the heck out of this thing. And I know there's a lot of stuff out here, but this is her favorite. She operates it for me while I'm hooking stuff up. So she pumps it up, lets it down. I mean, got really good at operating it and having a lot of control with it. But I thought that it was awesome that this has become her favorite tool. And she's like, we use the crap out of this thing. And I can't wait till we get a forklift and a bobcat and you're running those for me. So on the doors, I want to cover these with stickers, but I thought it would be cool to do all black and white stickers here and then color ones over there. So if anyone wants to send me cool stickers, holler at me. Picked up this $10 gas can the other day. These things are like 220 bucks or so. This one's been beat up, doesn't leak, doesn't do anything, but that's going to be my travel to go see if stuff will run gas tank. And this is the belly mower. I've greased everything on it, checked the bearings. Everything's pretty serviceable. It was just left outside. I need to replace maybe 2 or 3 Zerk fittings on it for stuff that I couldn't grease. But, I mean, everything, I haven't heard it run, but everything seems fantastic on it. So it's going to be a mowing machine out here. This is my mid-1800s English anvil, which I freaking love. So the piece of railroad rail is going to kind of go the same thing here. It's going to be a little bit higher to work on. But man, I love this. I picked this up. I'll put a link to his Instagram, Scout. He's an amazing woodworker. Picked this up in Austin, and it's fantastic. Right now, the only air compressor we're rocking is this little pancake compressor. Picked this up in Saginaw, this little forge. Needs a little love, but it works great. I'm not a blacksmith. I don't want to be a blacksmith, but what I'd like to do is every once in a while is heat some stuff up and bend it and beat it on that. And I'd like to learn how to make some nails, some hinges, stuff like that. Just kind of learn some basic stuff. This is my Victor Journeyman. I know you can get way cheaper, but I used that when I worked construction for years and years and years. And I really love this torch. You can cut up, I think, to like an inch. It is a badass torch, and I really like it. And over here is just more of the color, Sticky Boys. This will all get painted. My old Napa battery charger that I like. And then I'm a huge fan of chemical guys. This is a lot of my cleaning stuff that I detail stuff with. That buffer and their cleaning compound I use to freshen up the old mobile gas pump over there. And this is an industrial grinder that I picked up for a really good deal. I'm flipping it. I hope someone picks this thing up. It is super cool. This is the epitome of heavy duty. I originally was going to take all the paint down. It originally looks like it was Vista Green, and they painted it the gray. Then there's also some yellow on it too. But once I cleaned up, I thought the patina was cool. And this thing is an absolute unit. It's wild. And then I also came with, I think, 5 or 6 more of the discs for them. And those things are freaking expensive. Over here, I've got the old Ford LGT 145. Super good deal on this. It came with a snow plow, but none of the attachments. I'm back and forth on this. This one's it's like a 70 or 71 that had the white steering wheel and then the fiberglass little front cap. Has a Kohler engine. It's really weird. I wanted it to kind of play around and just drive around. I didn't want to actually plow snow or anything like that or haul a little trailer with it. But I'm back and forth on whether I need to keep that or get rid of it. So this Harley, it's a 1990 Softail. My buddy Marty, him and I were in barber school together, and then unbeknownst to us, we were in boot camp at the same time in the Marine Corps. His dad was a Vietnam veteran, and when Marty was in boot camp, his dad picked us up in Iowa. I think it's got around 15,000 miles, always garage kept. I just rebuilt the carburetor on it. I've been lazy on this. I've had other projects, and then, been taking care of my mom up here. Rebuilt the carburetor. I got new, cables for the clutch, brake control, stuff like that. And it needs new tires, but I want to get this on the road in the spring. I think it's super cool, and it means a lot to me that, Marty wanted to go to someone that was in the military. I both Marines, but his dad was a Vietnam veteran. And, had this. So this is pretty special, and we have actually named this after his oldest daughter, Ava. So it's a cool Harley. Next is a Toro snowblower. First I didn't know what a snowblower was, so I moved up here. We used it at the old spot up here. We're going to be using the Kabota for moving snow around. So I've got a few things to freshen it up. It's super cool. But that's going to go in the for sale bin. And that's another little special project. So this is our 1963 D200 3/4 ton Dodge pickup truck. I struggled to find a name, and Lindsay and I found this. It's Miller time. I thought that was cool. I'm like, dude, that would look cool on the 63. And so I'm like, hey, it's Millie. Because all of my vehicles are females, because I don't ride inside of dudes. Just so you know. Back to the refrigerator handle. Here, does that not look? It looks like the refrigerator handle. They're super freak. I mean, it's just, I love this truck. It's cool. Came from Arizona. I picked up in Indiana. Will, I think, got that little 13-inch metal flake or 12-inch metal flake steering wheel from a Cadillac he bought. I don't know. He sent me a picture, and I'm like, dude, send that to me. And then he shipped it to me right off the bat. But this is going to be made into a gasser. This is a 65, 66 Chevrolet hood that I picked up where I got the little cool lights for the desk. This has like the little turn signals up here. The patina is great. It matches the 63, the 68 Charlotte C10 that Lindsay has. And the other day, I was like, hey, I need to list that. I was going to sell it. And she's like, oh, no. You're building us a bed, and it's going to be a headboard, and we're going to put the lights on here and have them shine up the ceiling. So that's going to be a cool project. I'm so glad she said that, because I'm stoked about that. It's my 23 T-bucket that is raggedy. But I have some cool ideas for that. Our buddy Zach that has the cab over and the really cool Ford Futura. He's got some frame parts ideas for me that I think is cool. Up here on this, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tailgates, maybe 6 tailgates from trucks that are going to become benches for us. The power washers over there, spray paints, antifreeze, grease, lube, ballastol. There's tons of Chevy parts over there. There's tons of extra parts for the Ram Charger, the Harley tanks over there, buffing pads, stuff like that. Then up top, we've got the gas tank from my 71 CZ, really cool Harley tank. Underneath that Evinrude is a swamp cooler. So that's going to go on Alice, the 51 Chevy. That's one of those air-induced air conditionings that you put on the window, you crack it, then you fill it with water, then air comes through as it's traveling, it's on the exterior of the window, and then provides you with a cool, refreshing, humid, cool air. A buddy of mine gave that to me that used to come to the bash. There's I think that's a Mercury heater, an old like Andy Griffith fire or a police car, what do you call it? Flasher. Up there is a Camaro fender. I can't remember what the 3 fins is. Someone will correct me or whatever. But a buddy of mine did some body work, and that is actually 3 different fenders. And he was doing body work to this car and was like, what the heck? And there was another whole fender on top of that one. So he gave that to me, and I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll throw that, on the wall or whatever. There's an old Schlitz cooler, a couple of different gas cans, and a couple of GM and GM Chevrolet, and I think a Plymouth radio. Then there's a Farmall Cub front grill. Then that really weird looking, we can go there and look at that, the really weird looking grill and hood It's from my 1953 Ford bookmobile. So have that. I'm gonna get up here eventually. It's super, super cool. But someone had tried to started unbolting it, and I was like, oh, they're trying to steal that. So I took it and brought it up here with me. I'll get you to walk around here real quick. Over here, we've got a couple of Evinrude and Johnson. This one I think is my favorite. This Johnson outboard is so cool. You got like the shark's fin here, the aluminum, the brass, all of these machine stuff. So a lot of these are getting made into lamps and artwork. And they're just, I mean, man, these things are fantastic. They're not serviceable. That one's like an Elgin. They won't run, I mean, they're rough, but they will make really cool lamps and stuff. This is another OG grinder that I picked up, which you can tell was originally black, and then it went to the Vista Green, and then the industrial enamel. And what I like about this one, I won't plug it in, but you can plug it in, get it up to speed, and then unplug it, turn it off, and for like, I think 4.5 minutes, it's still spinning. It is an absolute beast of a machine. So I'm keeping that as an extra one because that one's gonna have a wire heel. This is another one I picked up that come from General Motors. And again, I'm in love. The Vista Green is just super sick color to me. I think that it's absolutely amazing. This is a Dunlop tabletop drill press. Dunlop was like a sub-brand of Sears. I love how these look. I mean, they're very, you know, they're not industrial, but I mean, this thing and how it's made, everything now is like plastic, and these aren't. And I just think they're super cool drill presses. This is our Ford Flathead, and then the plans for it is eventually for it to go with the 23T bucket. Pick this one up from Matt Iron Trap. These are Edmund custom aluminum valve covers and the intake. I cleaned those things up pretty decent. They were super, super bad, but those will polish up very, very nice. But just having them with their Edmunds it's cool to me. These green porcelain lights, I know y'all have seen a couple of those all around the shop. Those are getting, some of those are going to be outside with some of the signage that we're going to have on the outside of the garage, and also made into lamps. And then I had to get a map of Michigan, because a lot of times, you know, I'll look at it on Google, but I'll come over here look and go, oh, that's where that is. So I've tried to familiarize myself with Michigan. So a couple of bikes over here. One of them is like a dual bike, which is absolutely, it's wild. I like that thing. Back onto Millie. One thing that I like about this, and there, of course, there's no engine, but just how these fenders are made, and there's so much, I think these are so freaking cool. I was going to go with a big block. We bought a 413 for it, but I'm actually leaning towards a slant 6. This originally came with a 318 poly that the guy had pulled out of it, and he just destroyed it. It was sickening to me. He drove all the way to Indiana and get there, and all the pictures he had posted had an engine in it and of it running, and they decided to pull it, and the engine was pretty trashed. I got it, actually sold it for a couple of $100, but I think we're going with the inline 6 on this. I was wanting like a 66, but once I started seeing the dual headlights and the turn signal and just how this looks, I had to have it. So, again, I appreciate y'all. You know, if anyone did watch this, it's not over yet. Within the next couple of days, we're gonna do like a quick little video of the Ram Charger and the 68, just talk to them about them a little bit, and then show y'all my basement and media room. So I'm just stoked if anyone watches this, and I wanted to show y'all where I work at, what I do, what the plans are of painting, the stuff that's in here. And again, stuff is getting constantly moved around. This area to me is dialed in. I might put a few other things on the wall because I do like, you know, stuff and things. Got some more plans for stuff over there and some more storage, but we have so much of the heavy equipment coming in and out. A lot of bolt bins. This last week, like belt sanders, a lot of different stuff that have come in and out. So anyway, I want to show you where I work and what I do, and then let's go check the other stuff out. Hey, real quick, I realized that was an hour and 10 minutes. So I'm going to do my office and media room in a separate video. Because I don't even know if anyone will watch an hour and 10 minutes of me babbling like a crazy person. But I did miss one or two little things. I'm going to go over those real quick because I thought they were important. Apologize for saying so and using the exclamation super so much. I don't know where I got those habits, but anyway, if you watch it this far, write so super in the comments. Appreciate y'all. Okay, this hammer stand and C-clamps. I picked up tons of these old body hammers, leather hammers, different styles of ball peen hammers, little tack hammers, some little miniature body hammers, a couple of dollies, dead blows and stuff, and I built this stand for those. I'm eventually going to find the right kind of wheels on it so it will be mobile. And then, I can't remember if I mentioned it or not, I decided on the doors to do black and white stickers there and then color stickers on this one that I'm kind of filling up. But I appreciate y'all checking everything out. Got my charging light on over there. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I appreciate y'all. Have a great week.